Alright, so teardown can be done in any particular order. I'm going to start with some of the easy inside stuff first. This right here. So the only thing I've done off camera, I know I'm supposed to log everything, but the only thing I've done off camera is take this, the column shroud off, and that was basically, I had to buy this set of Torx bits that are super long because it is a which one is that? It's a T20, and there's two right here in the front of the steering column, and then there's one further back that's actually a machine screw. These two up front just go into the plastic of the top shroud. So that's the only thing I've done off camera. It's super self-explanatory. So now I'm going to take this lower panel off to get at the get a little bit more room in here with the connectors in the back. That's just two 8mm screws right here. They also have a Phillips head in them, so I'll just use a Phillips for that. And then for this up here, the entire thing comes off with this bracket, this actual stamped steel bracket, and not the cast bracket. So you leave all this on here, like don't touch that screw. This all houses the tilt column. So I'm gonna take all these Torx bit screws out. They look like a T20, T25, and they're just a couple of them around. You just gotta look around. There's another one right here, and it'll just take this bracket off of the casting. So you're leaving this on here, taking that. And yeah, so I'm not a professional YouTuber. I can't do time-lapse stuff, but I will bring you guys back and show you all the bolts I took out and let you know if there's any hard parts, because I'm definitely just shooting from the hip on this entire swap. So let's get at it. Alright, so I got that done. Here's the full assembly. You can see the two connectors. You got this one here for the manual range, and then this is the main range switch connector. The main range switch is this one here. It's kind of on its own harness. And then this one is for the manual, and it sits up on right here. So it sits right up there. Just disconnect it, super easy. I'll probably just zip tie those up out of the way. But I put the screws back in the column so you can see the exact locations. You got the top one here, and then you've got one on the side right there, and then one further back. God bless Ram's build quality, because they're not hard to get at. It's just super tedious to get them all the way out. They got a bunch of factory thread locker on there. But yeah, so I just put those in there for representation. But so I'm just gonna leave this exactly like this, and eventually I'll get the manual column plastics and just stick it over that. I'm not actually seeing any kind of, I was trying to test if there's any sort of lock, but I'm not seeing any sort of lock mechanism. This is for the tilt column. You can see it kind of like that, but I don't see, like, I've been turning my wheel and I don't have the key in or anything, and it's not locking in any way, so I don't think that's going to be an issue. Yeah, so now I'm just going to clean all this up, put it up, do stuff with it, and then I'm going to put this on the pile. It's going on the pile. Also, before I button this back up, just as a little lowdown, if I can even get in here, what can you guys see? So you see right there, all the casting bungs are already there for the clutch. So when you put your clutch pedal in, it's just gonna go the cross pin right through there into this top section up here, and there's no modification you have to do for that. So when you're getting the clutch pedal, I'll go over that in the parts video. To finalize the interior piece, for disassembly at least, I am going to take the shift lever out. So that literally just popped off of the shifter. I just took a pair of needle nose and popped it off the side. It's just a little plastic clip connector there. And then it's got these two little wings that kind of fold out, and it just clicks right into here. And that goes down to that boot, which I have my shift on the fly switch and the Easy Link unlock cable going through that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it from this outside through to the center, and that way I can just like pack it around wires instead of having to unplug everything and feed it through. It's not the ideal way to do it, and if I start hating it, I'll probably just get a new boot. But for right now, I'm gonna cut it, that way I can pull the shift cable out, and from there it should just be a few brackets and then pop it off the side of the transmission. So once I get that out, I'll lay it out on the ground, we can see where all the connections are. All right, and then I got that pulled out. You can see, I mean, it's not super ideal because there's like a little gap in there, but I got these fed through the center so that at least they don't chafe, because that's what I really care about. I can always go get a different boot to go right there, but it's just as clean as I can get it without doing a parts run. That is actually integrated into the shaft, or the cable, so let me show you. So here's the shift cable. This is the side that goes up to the column. There's the ears that pop out of that bracket. And here you can see, this is actually how long that that O-ring that goes through the firewall is. So I actually pulled it out and cut it right here so that it's a lot shorter, you know, going through the firewall. I left about that much of it where it gets into the big diameter, and just cut this little sleeve off of there. On the bottom side, it's super easy. This also just pops off the transmission shift selector. And then this little piece here, basically you just pinch these two metal pieces. There's one on each side. So these two little metal pieces, and then it slides. It doesn't slide back and out, it just slides straight out of that bracket. So alright, so there is the shift selector on the transmission, and here's the bracket. You can see that it's actually just straight up and down, it's straight out instead of being curved in to stop it. So yeah, it literally just pops right out like that. So now all this wiring, and something kind of unrelated, I'm actually going to be taking this entire cross member off that has the tank on it, because it doesn't go to anything. So I'm actually going to take this off, and just leave it off. So that's the next step. Alright, fellers, a little bit of progress. I'm getting pretty good on the teardown. All the final parts should be here tomorrow, so I'm just trying to rush this part. So first thing, I got the cross member out with the urea tank and all that wiring and the two hoses that go to it. I disconnected all the wires from that passenger side frame rail connection forward. So that's this bundle of joy right here. So we have the wiring that went to the urea pump assembly there. We have the transfer case wiring. We have, let's see, it's the other side. This is the connection that goes to that. And then we have up here, we got output speed sensor, the main connection to the transmission, the big Canon plug there. We have the input speed sensor, that's input speed, and output speed. So and then of course we already got that off of there. So I forget where this one went. Oh, that goes to the other side. I'll get out of there. That one went right there, and I don't know what that actually is. Maybe a fluid temp or something like that. I'm not good at automatics, which is why it's coming out. So my plan is, for right now, I'm not going to cut or destroy any of the wires. So if I can get everything working with all this crap just laying on the ground, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to tag each connector that I'm not using. So basically everything but this one. And I'm going to red tape them. And then I'm going to click it back into that harness right there. Take all that off the frame rail, and then take it off all the way up to the connection point up on the firewall. So that'll be a complete basically body harness. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to slowly depin every wire I don't need, and then I'm going to run it nice and clean, you know, along the firewall or along the cross member, and then back just straight to the fuel water separator. So if I can get that done, that'll probably be like a revisit it project instead of just taking this big old bundle and zip tying it to the frame rails like 90% of people do. I'm all about a clean final product. So all that's left to do is, you can see the front drive shaft is gone. I'm gonna pull the rear, jack up the transmission, pull the cross member off because the isolator that sits right here is blocking a few of the transfer case bolts. So once we get the weight of the transmission up, I can kind of see if we just want to drop it. Me and my buddy want to drop it with the transfer case still attached, which I've heard is a bear, but we'll figure it out. Other than that, yeah, so just shaft, cross member, and get all the cooler lines disconnected, drain all the fluid there, and that's it. And then tear down will be basically done.